Hot news on politics with Lisa Lerer. The Kamala Harris factor. The New York Times. Hi. Welcome to When people talk about the emerging 2020 Democratic primary field, it can sound an awful lot like the opening lines of a children's book. One candidate, two candidates. Old candidates, new candidates. Some are slightly left, some are far. Say. What a lot of candidates there are. But there's one thing many leading Democrats seem to agree on: Kamala Harris is a formidable contender. When you ask 20, those concerns only grew on Monday when Ms. Harris formally announced her presidential bid. She matched Senator Bernie Sanders' record by raising $1.5 million from 38,000 donors in the first 24 hours of her campaign. So why is a first-term senator, with little experience outside California state government, making Democrats so nervous? Oh, she doesn't fit into a neat ideological lane. As my colleague asked, she would make history. Should she prevail the primary map favors a candidate who can win strong support from black voters in California. It's no accident, after Iowa and New Hampshire, the race moves to potentially favorable terrain for Ms. Harris. Nevada, which borders California and has a large Latino population, then South Carolina. Then, even with these advantages, Ms. Harris still has plenty to worry about. Already, obviously Ms. Harris does not have anything locked down. Need I take you back? Just ask. Advisors to former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. are circulating a document to his supporters that outlines a rationale for him to run for president and rebuts potential lines of attack. The latest indication that the talking points, which were sent to the Times' Jonathan Martin by an ally of Mr. Biden, reflect some of his core arguments he would make if he does enter the Democratic primary. He and his advised, in a time of almost unprecedented political chaos under a president whose first and last thought every day is about himself, his image, and using the most powerful office in the world to enrich himself, Americans are reacting to you and looking for you, the trustworthy, compassionate leadership that Joe Biden has brought to the national and international stage his entire career, the document states. But what is more revealing about the 10-paragraph document is that Mr. Biden and his small circle of aides feel the need to sketch out his message before he announces his candidacy. It is, a bit to that end, the talking points attempt to grapple with some of the most frequent critiques of Mr. Biden. That his initial lead in some Democratic primary polls is simply based on name identification and will melt once other candidates become better known. He is passionate, he is empathetic, he is trustworthy. You and voters know these things about him, the document states. It's why he's that he is too moderate for today's Democratic voters and will struggle with liberals. He was outspoken on LGBTQ rights even when every pundit around said that it was a political mistake, according to the talking points, adding that he also sought to address climate change early in his career and is an unwavering ally of organized labor. At 76, Mr. Biden may be too old to run for president. He campaigned for nearly 70 candidates, across the ideological spectrum, across 26 states in the last 2 years. Stay tuned, folks. Drop us a line. We want to hear from our readers. Have a question? Catholic high school students from Covington, Kentucky, found themselves in the middle of a national firestorm last weekend after videos surfaced showing dozens of students appearing to be in a standoff with an older Native American man. More videos later, the incident has emerged as a kind of Rorschach test for views on politics, race, and the Trump administration. We talked to who was in Covington, about what? Lisa, why did this video touch such a nerve? Elizabeth, there are these flashpoints now in our political culture. This one was as a religion reporter, I've covered a lot of sensitive topics, and the level of vitriol and aggression from the right and the left about every part of this story is remarkable. Some of the people. So what did you learn about the context for these videos? When you actually are on the ground, in the kids community, you start to get an idea of the cultural context behind these kinds of inflamed moments. The school is in the last time the country was this intensely focused on Catholic high school boys was during the Kavanaugh hearings. This time we're seeing, and with the videos, there's now this fight over whose narrative wins out. What does this incident tell us about our political culture? So Covington, where this happened, is right across the river from Cincinnati. The Covington area. How have politicians tried to capitalize on this episode? Mr. Trump jumped into the fray praising the Covington Catholic boys and used the moment to attack the media. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, furloughed federal workers. When women's haul sneaking drugs through tunnels, in cans of jalopy ±0 and passenger cars. The trial of drug. Almost everyone is calling for mommy or mama with the last breath. The Understudied, a Swedish film festival plans to hold, recruiting volunteers to watch a sci-fi film in custom-made, sealed coffins. Our goal was to find a way to take the experience of the film, and the apocalypse, further. Jonas Holmberg, the director of the Göteborg Film Festival. To take the sense, isn't the goal of humanity to keep the apocalypse farther away? Were you forwarded this newsletter? Thanks for reading. Politics is there anything you think we're missing? Anything you want to
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking